You know, for thousands of years, we've had this idea of the muse, this mythical divine spark that would visit an artist. We kind of thought creativity was the one thing that was purely human, like the final fortress of the soul. But today, well, that fortress has doors. We're seeing this massive shift where AI isn't just a tool anymore. It's becoming a real creative partner. So today, we're going to dig into how these algorithms are sparking a new renaissance. And we have to ask the big question. When a machine can hold the paintbrush, what happens to the artist?
Now, this isn't just about making slick videos for your social media feed. OpenAI's statement about their model Sora points to a much bigger ambition. The key phrase to lock onto here is simulators of the physical and digital world. We're not talking about a tool that just follows your instructions. We're talking about building systems that can understand and generate entire virtual worlds from scratch. This is a huge leap, and it's all being driven by a fundamental change in how AI actually operates.
And that change, it's the shift from generative AI to what we call agentic AI. For the last couple of years, we've all been pretty amazed by AI that creates things, right? It writes an email, it makes a picture. But this next wave is all about AI that acts. It doesn't just generate some content for you, it actually takes action in the world to get a job done.
Okay, so what does that actually mean? The easiest way to think about it is like this. An agentic AI is your own personal project manager. You give it a big, high-level goal, like, hey, plan me a 3-day trip to Chicago and keep it under $1,500. It won't just spit back a list of suggestions. No, it'll break that down into smaller goals, find flights, book a hotel, map out an itinerary. Then, and this is the key part, it'll pick its own tools, like searching airline websites or comparing hotel prices, and it will actually take action, like making the reservations for you. It plans, it acts, it checks its work, and it only really bugs you for approval on the big stuff. This is way beyond a simple chatbot. It's a proactive partner.
And listen, this isn't some niche sci-fi concept we're talking about for the distant future. The money is already pouring in. The market for these AI agents is projected to absolutely explode to over $50 billion by 2030. That number tells you everything you need to know. It shows a huge demand from businesses that see the potential for AI to just automate entire workflows, from managing a supply chain to handling all of your customer service. This is a full-blown economic and technological revolution happening right now.
So how does this gigantic shift toward agentic AI actually affect creators? Well, this is where the revolution gets really personal for artists. That feeling of staring at a blank page is pretty much becoming a thing of the past, because a whole new generation of AI-powered tools is giving creators a toolbox that would have seemed like pure science fiction just a few years ago.
In music, these new tools are completely changing the game. On one hand, you've got AI that can act like your own generative garage band. Think of something like Suno. On the other, you've got what's basically a one-click recording studio, like Udio. You don't need to know how to play a single instrument to compose a complex orchestral score anymore. You just describe a mood, a genre, maybe a vocal style you're going for, and the AI handles all the technical heavy lifting. The barrier to entry isn't years of practice anymore, it's just pure imagination.
And we're seeing the exact same transformation in video, led by giants like OpenAI's Sora and Runway's Gen 3. These models can create up to a full minute of incredible, high-def video from just a simple sentence. But what's really groundbreaking is that they're starting to show a real understanding of the physical world. The videos they make have dynamic camera movements where objects and characters move consistently through a 3D space, even if they go behind something and pop out the other side. That's a huge deal.
This revolution doesn't stop with visuals either. In the world of audio, 11 Labs is pretty much the gold standard right now, creating synthetic speech that is so good it's almost impossible to tell it apart from a human voice. It can clone voices, do dubbing in multiple languages with just uncanny realism. And then you have tools like Descript, which are building entire studios around this tech, letting you edit audio just by editing a text document. People are using this for everything, from film production to creating personalized audio experiences at scale.
So all of this incredible power, it brings us to a really critical and maybe a little uncomfortable question. When the technical part of creating can be automated, what's left for the human to do? What is our unique value in this new creative process? This is where we need to pivot, from all the exciting promise of these tools to the potential peril they represent. Now we have to confront the other side of this revolution. What happens to the livelihoods of creative professionals when the skills they've spent a lifetime perfecting can be done by an algorithm in a matter of seconds?
And this is not some abstract threat. This quote comes from the true story of a copywriter from Indiana named Brian Gross. After he lost his job to AI, he asked a chatbot for some career advice. You know what it suggested? Tree felling. His story just brings this whole debate crashing down to a very human reality. The consequences of this shift are real, and for a lot of people, they are happening right now.
This really shows the core change that's happening. In the old model, being creative had a high technical barrier to entry, right? You had to put in years of practice just to get good enough to even start, and your creativity was often limited by your technical skill. Well, in the new model, AI basically blows that technical floor away. Anyone can generate a decent song or a beautiful image. And what that does, ironically, is it raises the creative ceiling. The new bottleneck isn't skill, it's imagination. It's your taste, your vision, and the uniqueness of your ideas.
Now, this pattern of technology displacing jobs isn't new, but as the story of a writer like Brian Gross shows us, who it's affecting is. For decades, we thought of automation as a threat to blue-collar, manual labor jobs. But now, that same force is coming for white-collar, knowledge-based work. This is a systemic shift in the very nature of work itself.
Of course, when you have technology that's this powerful and this disruptive, it comes with immense responsibility. And so, all around the world, governments and entire industries are now scrambling to write a new set of rules for this new era.
At the very heart of this debate is something people are starting to call the copyright singularity. It's a huge legal and ethical crisis. I mean, if an AI helps write a hit song, who gets the copyright? Who gets the Grammy? We are fundamentally having to rethink the entire concept of authorship. The legal question is changing from a simple, who made this, to the much more complex question of who directed the creative process.
And this isn't just a theoretical debate. Governments are taking real, concrete steps. In the United States, for instance, there are new rules for federal agencies using AI. They have to do something called red teaming, which is basically hiring ethical hackers to find the flaws before an AI system is deployed. They also have to clearly label AI-generated content to be transparent, and they have to run assessments to make sure the AI isn't going to enable discrimination.
And this is absolutely not just a US issue. The European Union's AI Act looks like it's going to become a global standard for how to regulate AI, a lot like how GDPR became the standard for data privacy. At the same time, you've got the industry itself trying to get ahead of the problem with things like C2PA. That's a coalition with big players like Adobe and Microsoft, and they're building a technical standard. Think of it like a digital watermark, to prove where content came from and whether AI was involved. This is a worldwide challenge, and it's going to require everyone to cooperate.
So where does all of this leave us? Maybe it's helpful to look at it a different way. Maybe the AI muse isn't actually here to replace us. Maybe it's here to act as a mirror, a collaborator that can show us parts of our own creativity that we never even knew existed. The whole point of art has always been about communication, about intent. And as long as there's a human intent directing the machine, maybe the art is still fundamentally human.
But that leaves us with one final, provocative thought. If an AI could compose a symphony so beautiful that it moved you to tears, would it matter that it was written by a machine? Or does true art, the kind that really lasts, require a human heartbeat behind it to feel real? The canvas is infinite, and for now the answer is still up to us.